So in the previous lecture, we successfully transitioned numbers when adding or removing them. But when doing so, the remaining numbers would jump around a bit. Let's fix that now. As it turns out, the transition group component can not only animate elements that enter or leave, but also when elements move positions. To apply an effect when elements move, Vue adds the v-move class to elements that need to be moved in response to data changes, for instance. In our case, the class would be named fade-move since we have specified a name for the transition group component. So let's use this class to add a transition effect when elements move. So back to the style section, fade-move as the class name. But what do we need to enter here, and how does it even work? Well, Vue is doing some magic under the hood, which we're not going to get into in details. But essentially Vue is moving elements by using the transform CSS property, together with the translate X and translate Y. By default, this transformation happens instantly, which is what we've seen so far. But since Vue automatically takes care of determining where the elements should be moved, and applying the appropriate transform style to elements, all we need to do is to tell the browser to animate that transformation. So for that, we can simply add a transition property and say transform for 1 second. So basically we're saying that when Vue is applying the transformation, its duration should be 1 second. Yes, it's really that simple. Let's see it in action. So let's add a new number, and as you can see, the space between the numbers where the new number will be inserted gradually expands, making it look much better than before. Again, what happens is that the appropriate elements are moved with translate X, and we tell the browser to do this over 1 second. We can do that because Vue adds the fade-move class to the elements that need to be moved. Alright, let's now try to remove a number. So we still see the elements jumping around when we remove a number. The solution to this is simple. Simply specify an absolute positioning of elements with the fade-leave-active class. So let's go ahead and do that. Here at the bottom, so fade-leave-active and position absolute. This is to ensure that the leaving element does not take up space between the numbers while the transition is happening. So the space is gradually reduced, which is taken care of by the fade-move transformation. This might all be a bit confusing at first, especially if you're not that experienced with CSS transitions. In case you want to get a deeper understanding of how it works and feel comfortable with it, then I encourage you to create a small project and play around with it for a while. Alright, back to the browser to see if it works. So adding numbers still looks good. Let's try to remove a number, and now this looks better as well. Great, so now everything looks good. Now I just want to show you something cool. All I want to do is to add a button which shuffles the numbers array. For implementing shuffling the array, I will use a library named Lodash, which provides a lot of convenient methods for working with arrays, objects, strings, etc. So I will just open the index.html file because I want to show you that I have already prepared the script tag that imports the library. If you want to do the same, you can find it at lodash.com. So first I will add the button for shuffling. So let's go to the template and add a new button. And give it a click event handler of shuffle. Go down to the JavaScript part of things and add the shuffle method. And I will assign this .numbers to underscore, and this is the Lodash library in action .shuffle, and passing in this .numbers. Let's now open the browser and see what happens when clicking the shuffle method. The elements now move around with a pretty cool effect, I'd say. This happens out of the box with the CSS that we already added, because the elements that need to be moved have the fade-move class added to them. So this has nothing to do with Lodash. I just used that library because I was lazy enough to not implement a shuffle function myself. Pretty cool, right? Hopefully you now have an idea just how powerful Vue is in regards to transitions and animations. Of course you can make much more complex transitions and animations that we have seen here.